John Duggan is with us. He's in Lahinch. He's been studying the form guide. John, did you change your mind at all when you get down there and see what the conditions are like? You've walked the grass, you've seen the greens, you're actually out there, you're thinking, hang on a second now, I need to revisit my calculations. Or are you strict? Form's all that matters.
I'm strict because I would have checked the weather, Ger and Owen, a few days ago, and I knew it was just going to be benign. So I am interested in what Larry said to me yesterday, and he said that it's not just going to be a 20 under par tournament. He thinks there's some tricky holes out there. Like Paul McGinley has short, like the course is only just over 7,000 yards, 7,036 yards. So it is a shorter course than a lot of some of the other courses. But Paul McGinley has, got the greens cut well. It's going to be firm and fast. I always remember, even as a young lad growing up, Lahinch, when I heard the word Lahinch, because my dad was from Clare, you always think, Lahinch is brutal. It's brutally tough, very difficult course. So I'd expect maybe a total of maybe between 10 and 15 under par to win it. But have I changed my mind? No, I haven't changed my mind. I'm reading as much as I can, but I'm pretty, I haven't changed my mind.
John Rahm is the favourite, is that right?
Yeah, 8-1.
Bit short.
Understandable. Bit short for 156 runner field. If his head is in Portrush, where it should be, with no disrespect to the Irish Open, which he's won already, when he took apart Port Stewart, I think that, look, he's come back from the States. He was really impressive at Pebble Beach, especially in the weekend. He nearly won in Valderrama last week. He's a form horse. He's my barroom brawler friend. I always want John Rahm in my barroom brawls. But do I want him on my betting slip this week? No, I don't. Not at 8-1.
When you say that his mind might be in Portrush, is John Rahm the sort of player who plays a lot better when he's not putting that sort of pressure on himself, when he sort of can go out and play his own game and be free and not actually have the weight of huge amounts of pressure on his shoulders?
Well, John Rahm, to me, on the golf course, is quite an angry guy. And actually, he feeds off his anger. He feeds off that rage sometimes when things aren't going his way, and he channels that in a positive way. Now, he's tempered that a bit. I think he needed to. So John Rahm being relaxed might actually not be the best thing. I think he does need to be fired up, and we saw that at the Ryder Cup when he beat Woods, and he held the winning putt against Woods, wasn't it, in France. So no, John Rahm is he is going places. Whether he'll take this course apart, I don't think so. But at 8-1, if you get 20-1, I'd be interested, but not at 8-1.
Yeah, too short. A lot of Lowry's very short as well. Is that just because a lot of Irish people are backing him when the Irish Open rolls around? He's 16-1 to win.
Possibly. Like, he's come up 40 places in the rankings. Like, he was 75th at the end of last year. He's 35th now. He's playing extremely well. I asked him yesterday again, what about slow start, Shane? He made a slow start at Pebble Beach. He made a slow start at Bethpage. He finished the weekend really well. He's really, really happy with his game. Like, he's really happy with his game, Shane Lowry, at the moment. So, on a form basis, yes, but he should be 25-1. He shouldn't be 16-1. And I do think there is sometimes the rose-tinted glasses of, like, I'm sure there were people back in England, ladies, last night in the World Cup match, just in England because of patriotism.
Yeah.
And I think you were going to find a bit of that with Shane Lowry.
Yeah, and it's the same, I think, with GMAC, who's 28-1. Like, GMAC was 100 at Pebble Beach, and I was happy to have a nibble at that, and it wasn't the worst bet I've ever made because he finished 10th, and top 8 places were getting paid. But anyway, not that I'm counting, my €2 each way.
You're still bitter, Ger. You're still bitter about it.
My €2 each way didn't pay off. I think he's too short at 28-1. So what do you like here?
I've gone for 4, right. Like, here's a question for you guys. Do you think I bet on every single tip I give on off the ball?
Yes. You better, or else, you're not putting your money where your mouth is.
I don't know.
What do you think, Ger?
I don't know.
What do you think, Ger?
I'd say no. Not everyone.
Well, I don't bet at Cheltenham for reasons that I can't get distracted with punting at Cheltenham. And, because I'm working my brains out, and we all should be working our brains out if we're privileged enough to be in this position to work in sport, right? But I actually am going to put money down on Louie Westhead this week.
Right.
Louie Westhead is the class act nobody has talked about. I'm the first person in Ireland to talk about Louie Westhead this week at the Irish Open. 18-1. The odds I'm selecting through Odds Checker are a fifth of the odds, the first 8 places. Louie Westhead has won. They call him Lahinch, the St Andrews of Ireland. He's won at St Andrews. He won the Open there. He's been second in all 4 majors. He knows how to play links golf. He was in the top 10 at Pebble Beach, linksy kind of course. He's got a pure perfect swing. He won the Irish Amateur Stroke Play Championship at Royal Dublin as a 19-year-old back in 2002. So he likes the country. And I think Louie Westhead at 18-1 is a very solid each-way bet as a class act in a field that maybe doesn't have that many class acts this week. So like he's a bet. I'm going to be putting money. I'm going to find the Lahinch Paddy Power and I'm going to put money on Louie Westhead.
Okay. Who else?
The others.
Yeah.
The other three. So my virtual insanity, we're putting €50 in this tournament. Virtually €10 each way, Louie Westhead. The other three, Danny Willett is back in form. Now we all know what happened to Danny Willett. Won the Masters unexpectedly because Jordan Spieth collapsed, but he still won it. He played really well in the European Tour the season before. Then we had this issue with his brother in the Ryder Cup and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Danny, I don't know whether he's affected by that, but he kind of went off the boil a bit. He's back on the boil. So I'm looking at Danny Willett's stats here. US Open 12th, Canadian 8th, Memorial 27th, 6th in Ballyliffin last year, 4 top 10s in the Irish Open. Maybe he's jet lagged, but Danny Willett at 28-1 to me is a very solid proposition for a good iron player around the hinge. 5 each way, Danny Willett, 28-1. And two others, my Twitter friend, although he doesn't know me on Twitter, nor does he follow me, Eddie Pepperell. I love his tweets. Eddie Pepperell is 40-1. The only worry I have about Eddie is had a back problem. He hasn't played in a while. He might be a bit rusty, but he says, he was telling the Oxford Mail, which I was reading this morning, amidst all my other tasks, that he's feeling that he's not nervous. He's happy with his game. Might be a bit of rust. So that's the kind of like the caveat with Eddie Pepperell. But a great links player. Second at Hillside, tied for second at Royal County Down Irish Open, and he's 40-1 for 5 each way. And finally, a guy who won the Scottish Amateur at Muirfield. Once again, second to Hillside, Tommy Fleetwood's tournament earlier this year on a links course, was also second in Denmark. 2 second-place finishes on his first real season on the European Tour. Robert McKenzie from Scotland is 70-1 for 5 each way. Robert McKenzie, Eddie Pepperell, Danny Willett. But Louie Westhead, I will even go down and put money, my own hard-earned money, which I'm sometimes reluctant to part with, on Louie Westhead this week. But I would agree with you, Ger. You want to be shopping around for value. Mikko Ilonen, Patrick Sholand, nothing against them, but they are past winners of the Irish Open.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get unheralded names. There's a lot of players between the 100 and 200-1 mark. You could have it just because they're playing well. And once again, other players might have their heads in Portrush.
I think when Paul Casey won, he started the week at 50s or 66-1, and was close enough to the lead after the first round and was still available at 33. Now his form had been terrible for 18 months before that, and obviously he just, that winning at Carton House was kind of the spark for him to come back into it. Paul Dunn 55, Pork Harrington 80-1, Seamus Power 80-1. If you're looking for a patriotic bet, I think there's a bit of value in the three of those lads.
I don't do patriotism with betting. If I'm going to have a patriotic bet, it actually would be Lowry, but no. But it's all about sometimes research and trying to dig deep. And Steve Palmer is the greatest golf tipster of all time. He's an amazing tipster from the Racing Post, and he does this great research. And he's picked a guy called Paul Waring, who's got form like a Lahinch as an amateur, has played well on links courses, and he's tipped him at about 125-1. I'm not tipping him; it's his tip. But I'm just saying that if you dig a bit deep, if you dig deep and see who's playing well on the European Tour, Alvaro Kirach has been third and second the last 2 events on the European Tour. He's about 80-1. He's my idea of a value bet at those prices, but you can't tip everybody. But I do think sometimes you can get players coming out of the blue at 150, 200-1. Padraig has been way out of form. Seamus Power's coming back from the States where he's not been playing that well. There's 13 Irish lads, I think, in the field, but it's hard to say. I can't really see a John O'Leary or a Padraig Harrington from 2007 coming and winning this. I can't see an Irish winner this week unless you chain. So my tips, I'm going to put these up on offtheball.com for folks who are just not picking them up exactly right now. And I'll kind of explain the rationale behind them as well. All
right, good stuff. John, enjoy the rest of the morning. And did you follow Joe around for a couple of holes? Did you see how he was getting on?
No, I've been stuck in the booth here doing a few other things for radio and that. But it's beautiful out there. It's calm. I'm sure Joe is the calmest person anyway. So I'm sure he's not losing the head on the golf course. But look, it's great. You got so many great names here: Niall Horan, AP McCoy, Ruby Walsh, Keith Duffy, Paul O'Connell, Keith Woods, Joe Malloy, Dermot Whelan. A lot of good people at the Pro-Am here this morning. And as I was saying earlier on, the town is buzzing. It's brilliant weather. It's a great, I was coming down. I'm on the top of a hill at the moment. I'm coming down every morning and I'm just looking. I can almost see the cliffs of Moher from here. So,
nice.
Look, it is a nice place to be.
Great stuff, John. Thanks for that. We'll
All right, guys.
We'll talk to you real soon.